Tēnā koutou katoa no hana aho, kei tamaki makolo tuku kaina I nei, ko waipepa tuku malai, ko Eileen Li tuku ingoa. No lela, tēnā koutou katoa. Hello everyone, my name's Eileen. It's really nice to see you here, and I've talked to some of you individually, but not all of you. Anyways, today I'm going to talk you through my study, the study I've been working on, investigating the associations between mode of delivery and later educational outcomes. So here's the outline of today's talk. I will firstly introduce some background and motivations for our study, leading to the more detailed who are our participants. So more details about our study, and then briefly touch on the method we use, then show you the results and findings. So this project was undertaken as part of the big data theme of the Better Start National Science Challenge, funded by MBIE. The big data theme was led by the University of Otago, and I think it's now led by Auckland University. So because we used IDI data, so here's the IDI disclaimer again. Just to reiterate that the findings are not official statistics. The opinions, findings, suggestions, and conclusions are those of the researchers, not Stats New Zealand or the University of Auckland. So, as you probably have seen from Stephanie's slides, that the number of births have been decreasing over years. About 60,000 children are born in New Zealand every year. At the same time, the rate of C-section has been on the rise. So from 23.7% in 2008, that has increased to 27.9% in 2017. And we know that C-section includes both the emergency C-section as well as the elective C-section. So the rate for elective C-section has also been increasing from 10.3% in 2008 to 12.6% in 2017. Well, the increasing trend of C-section usage has caused some concerns because although C-section is a life-saving intervention, but it may also lead to some short-term and long-term health effects for both the mothers and the children. Available evidence suggests that C-section may alter the colonization and composition of gut bacterial environment at an early age. So more specifically, we wanted to see what is the relationship or the association between C-section and later educational outcomes. So what does the current literature tell us about that? Well, it's actually mixed findings. So I've selected three most relevant studies. These three are Australian studies. So the first two, the first one was published in 2017 by Planando and colleagues, where they found C-section born children underperform compared with vaginally delivered children on problem solving and vocabulary at age 4 to 5, grammar, numeracy, reading, and writing at age 8 to 9. A similar finding was found by Bentley and colleagues in the year before, in 2016, where they found association between pre-labor C-section delivery and higher risk of children being developmental high risk and developmental vulnerable in language and cognitive skills, as well as numeracy at school age. Okay, so we've seen two Australian studies found negative associations between C-section and educational, cognitive outcomes. However, the third one, published in the same year, in 2016 by Smithers and colleagues, found no such association. So they found no association between C-section and increased the risk of poor school outcomes, including reading, writing, spelling, grammar, numeracy at age 8. Okay, so you may wonder, why is C-section hypothesis being associated with poor cognitive development? One possible underlying mechanism is through disrupted gut microbiota. So what is gut microbiota? A huge diversity of microbes inhabit the human gastrointestinal tract and collectively they are referred as the gut microbiota. The acquisition development of gut microbiota can be influenced by various factors, including gestational age, feeding method, host genetics. And recent studies have also suggested that mode of delivery is another important factor that could influence gut microbiota. And how does that relate to brain development? The microbiota in the gastrointestinal tract communicate with brain via bidirectional pathways that include the immune system signaling, the vagus nerve, and the neuroendocrine system, particularly the HPA axis. So now we've seen mixed findings from the Australian studies, and we wondered, oh, what if we use New Zealand national population level data? What could we find from there? So that led to our study. We gathered information on children born in New Zealand between 1996 to 1998. We chose those years for specific reasons. Firstly, it was started from 96 because there are two important birth information, gestational age and birth weight. Those two information were largely missing prior to 96, but were relatively good from 96 onwards. So we decided to start from 96. And the reason we ended at 98 was because we later gathered the participants' educational outcomes measured at high school. So if it's later than 98, we may not see them in the IDI yet. And that's why we chose that 3 years. In terms of mode of delivery, we used the mother's diagnostic records and then used the International Classification of Disease, the NAT version, to identify mode of delivery. And there were 3 of them, namely unassisted vaginal delivery, assisted vaginal delivery, and C-section. It's worth noting that we couldn't distinguish between emergency and elective C-section based on ICD-9. That could be done using the most up-to-date version of ICD, which is ICD-10, but that was not available during our reference period. Next, what are the educational outcomes that we selected? We've got 3 of them, NCA level 2 percentile score, NCA level 2 highest endorsement, and university entrance. So we've chosen those 3 outcomes for 3 reasons. Firstly, because this one was the only educational data available at the national level after before school check. And there are some limitations on using the before school check data, which I could explain to you at the end. Second, so there's no others like school entrance tests or any other form of test that's being administered consistently across schools. Secondly, those 3 Australian studies that I just showed you, they looked at cognitive outcomes at a relatively younger age, at about schooling age. But we wanted to assess the longer term effect of C-section on cognitive development. And thirdly, as Barry and Natalia pointed out, that education is such an important pathway for later employment and socioeconomic position. We wanted to see if delivery mode has an impact on educational achievements. Okay, so I'll talk about each of the 3 educational outcomes. The first one is NCA level 2 percentile score. So a student's score in each standard is converted into an expected percentile, which is the midpoint of the percentile of students who received each grade for that standard across the country. The expected percentile score at each NCA level is then calculated by averaging these estimates over all standards that the student took. And this metric adjusts for the difficulty of the standard. Noting that I've got an example of how exactly this percentile score is calculated at the end. So if you're interested, I can show you at the end. Noting that the percentile score ranges from 0 to 100, but because of the way it was calculated, it will never be 100. So in the data, it's more like 99, the highest might be 99.6 or 99.7. The next one, we've got NCEA level 2 highest endorsement. The endorsement could be at subject level or could be at certificate level. Here, we've used the certificate level endorsement. So a level 2 certificate endorsement has 3 levels: excellence, merit, and no endorsement. The no endorsement also includes not achieved and achieved. So a student must gain 50 credits at excellence to be endorsed with excellence. If this student failed to obtain an excellence endorsement but gained 50 credits at merit or above, then he or she will be endorsed with merit. From 2008 to 2018, there's an increasing trend of people getting excellence and merit endorsement. And we've, later on in the model, we've included both years to account for the increasing trend. And onto the third outcome, we've got university entrance. So university entrance is the minimum requirement to be admitted to a New Zealand university, and it's a binary yes and no variable. There are some requirements to get an university entrance. To note that the credits can be accumulated over more than 1 year, and so one person may have multiple university entrance results. So it might be the yes for the first year, no for the second year. In that case, we selected the better one. Okay, so we've got the educational outcomes, and we've got the most important key variable, mode of delivery. The rest of the variables are confounders. So we've included a wide range of confounders, including NZDAP 2013, household income, maternal education, the mother's marital status, the baby's birth weight, gestational age, ethnicity, birth order, maternal age, and birth year. So all of these, apart from the last one, are believed to associate with both mode of delivery and later educational outcomes, and hence we include them as confounders. The last one, birth year, was included to adjust for the increasing trend of merit and excellence endorsement that I just mentioned. Right, so to sum up how we put together the participants, we started from the Department of Internal Affairs birth record, and then we linked to Ministry of Health dataset to get the mother's diagnostic records in order to identify the mode of delivery. And this first linking step here, after this first linking or merging step, we've got about 83% of the people left. And then we've linked to Ministry of Education data to grab the children's high school educational achievements. So after the second step, we've got about 64% of the people left. And then we linked the data, the cohort to other data sources, mainly from 2013 census, to grab the other confounder variables. And noting that the last step we did not lose any observations during the last step. Okay, so now in terms of analysis we did, I firstly did bivariate analysis. So just looked at the relationship between educational outcomes and mode of delivery, not taking any other confounders into account, just to look at those two variables and see what are the associations that we could see. Recall that percentile score ranges from 0 to 100, so we treated it as a continuous variable. And so we did a linear regression on that. The second and third, excellence and merit, they from the highest endorsement. And so I did a multinomial logistic regression. And the last one, university entrance, because it's a binary yes and no, so I just did a logistic regression. So here, we see that C-section children, on average, are 2.2 percentile score higher than unassisted vaginally delivered children, and that's a significant number. And similarly, for getting a higher endorsement level, they're more likely to get excellence endorsement or merit endorsement. and same results for university entrance. Similarly, assisted vaginally delivered children are also better off in terms of getting a good educational outcome. So what will happen if we then look at, we take all those confounders into account, adjust for them and see what happens. Now that those significant associations attached to C-section do not exist anymore, so they're all gone. This one here, because it overlaps with 0, so it's not significant. For the rest of them, I report odds ratio. So if you see that overlapping 1, it means it's not significant. So nothing still significant on the C-section column. However, for the assisted ones, we've seen this one here, for percentile score, it's still significant, although very tiny. Those two are not. The university entrance is still significant, but it's again very, very tiny. So then we did a sibling fixed effects analysis. So which is using each mother or family as a control, and then look at the difference between siblings. So in doing that way, we further control for family-wide influences and genetic factors. When we did that, those two significant associations disappeared. I've got the results at the very end of my slide, so if you are curious, I can show you. Right, the conclusions. We did not find evidence supports that C-section is significantly associated with educational outcomes after adjusting for confounders, and also in the sibling fixed effects analysis. However, in terms of assisted vaginally delivered children, from the covariate and adjusted analysis, we saw significant associations in terms of NCA level 2 percentile score and university entrance. However, those associations did not persist in the sibling fixed effects analysis. And why is that? I think one possible explanation is there are some residual confounding potentially related to socioeconomic position that we failed to control in the covariate adjusted analysis. But once we further control for family-wide influences and genetic factors, yeah, the associations just disappeared. Right, so acknowledgement, I would like to thank Beramel, Nicola Shackleton, and Rebecca Slickerman for their help and insightful suggestions for this project. I would also like to thank Stats New Zealand for providing the data, especially a thank you to Hope Tran for checking my outputs on this project and other projects. Also, thank you for listening. Is there any questions? Yes.
Were you able to look at any urban versus rural differences? I know
That's a good idea, but no, we didn't look at urban and rural. Well, I guess the reason to look at urban and rural is to take their socioeconomic status into account. But we've included a wide range of confounders that could potentially already adjust it for that.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if it's related to mode of delivery, but certainly the biodiversity of the two is quite different.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
I was just wondering whether you would look at flexible benefit of this conditions for birth to affect the educational outcome.
Yeah, we could do. Yes. Yeah. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, your review literature report is this kind of as long as anyone's looked? Has anyone looked?
No, I believe this is the first study which looked at the long-term effect of C-section on cognitive and educational outcomes.
So what's the next longest? At school years or? Like
Yeah, at school years. So the longest would be at age 8 to 9 from the 2017 study. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Eliza. Any other questions? Yes.
Not so much a question, but you know, I'm building up on what I was saying. That's really interesting, and it would be interesting to repeat again, you know, differences and changes to you know, the healthcare and educational, and just to see if
Yes.
persists over time. You know, you've got it's a long wait period, but it would be interesting to see it repeated again later on to see if those results persist.
Yes. Actually, once ICD-10 code is available, we can then separate emergency C-section from elective C-section, and then we can sort of redo this analysis and see if there's any difference within the C-section group. Yeah. Yes.
I'm just not sure whether it's relevant to your study, but for example, a birth order and C-section, is it related?
Yes, because mothers who gave their first baby, give the first birth via C-section are more likely to give the second. The third.
Maybe there's something there that can be carved out. Or is it something that really maybe it's a multi-stage something. So there might be, because it's a long time until you realize the outcome.
Yes.
But yeah, very nice.
Thanks. Oh, yes.
I was wondering, did you think about having a look at the before school check?
Yes, the before school check data. I was very keen to use the before school check data because prior to this secondary school data, the before school check data is the only one that's applied at a national level. But there are some limitations on using the before school check data. First of all, I think if we use before school check data, we would use the PEDS, parents evaluation and development status. Thank you very much. And that has two streams. One, significant problems. Another one is insignificant problems. That I think the significant problems cover cognitive development and language skills, but it was a whole bunch of questions asked to the caregiver, and in the IDI, the before school data only has a total score. So a total score of that 10 questions. So we couldn't see whether it's the language one that's resulted in a low score or it's the other questions. So that's the main limitations on using the before school check data. And also the coverage rate was not that good prior to 2009, according to a VHIN report. Thirdly, I think there are some data entry error for the before school check data because there's some reverse scoring problems. So yes.
And maybe even a bit of a broad kind of spread, but it'd be interesting because the level 2 then is sort of quite late stage. So it'd be interesting to see if maybe it's like this earlier age.
Yes.
Issues and then sort of catch up.
Yes, exactly. Well, although in the long term, C-section is not affecting children's educational outcomes. So if it has an impact at an early age, does it really matter? Yes. Sorry, related to?
So I think maybe
Yes, yes, yes.
Is there a reason to believe we could see potential results for emergency versus planned C-section? Would affect the gut microbiome differently, or affect something differently if we expect a differential impact on cognition, or is it just something that we do to look at? Maybe there is a
Well, if it's an emergency C-section, there may be some medical complications related to that. And for example, maybe lack of oxygen for the baby may cause some brain damage during that process. So that is actually what we why we wanted to separate out between emergency and elective C-section. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.